Yeah, I think we always say that we wouldn't be in the sport if it wasn't for the Olympics, and the Olympics changed our lives in so many different ways.
And not everyone has carried Jessica Ennis-Hill's bags.
No.
You have that claim to fame.
Yeah, I think 16-year-old me would be screaming if I saw a text message from Jessica Ennis.
Hello and welcome to Stronger Than You Think with me, Ashleigh Wilmot.
And me, Jodie Ounsley. Our guest today is a Team GB 400 metre runner who's on her way to the Olympics.
She's a multiple British champion and her journey started back in 2012 when she carried Jessica Ennis-Hill's bags into London Stadium. Here to tell us all about it, it's Laviai Nielsen. Great to have you with us.
It's a joy to be here. Thanks for that. Nice introduction.
Yeah, I mean, you've done a lot and we can't wait to dive right in, to be honest.
Oh yeah, me too. It's going to be good.
It's such an exciting time for you right now. You're just about to head to the Olympics. Probably a time in your life you've been looking forward to for a very, very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think competing at the Olympic trials, which secured my qualification, was my third Olympic trials. So the first one, I actually fell short of the standard by 0.03 of a second. Thought, no problem, I'll go again. Then COVID happened. I thought, no problem. One more year. And then at the last Olympic trials, which was 2021, I finished fifth, so I didn't qualify for the 400. I went for the relay, but of course that wasn't what I wanted. And so, yeah, it feels like sort of 8 years in the making, so huge relief.
Wow. It's like a long time coming.
Very, yeah. And it was just the elation when I crossed the line and knew that I had it. You almost you can't believe it because I had fallen short so many times. So it was, such a gratifying feeling.
Yeah, what did it feel like when you did finally qualify? Because when that did happen, you know, the connection between you and your sister Lena was just amazing, that video that came out.
Yeah, so she was right at the finish line because she had her 400 hurdles race about 45 minutes before mine. And I actually, where the warm-up area is, though, I managed to sneak out and just watch her cross the line. I thought, okay, she's got it, which was half my stress over because we're twins, so our emotions are very closely aligned. So I thought, okay, that's half my stress over. And then had to get ready for my race, and then I was actually finishing the race. I could see her jumping up and down, and then just immediately hugged her. And then that's when I knew both of us were going to be Olympians. It was just such a nice feeling.
I mean, the Olympics is obviously such a special event anyway, but then to be out there with your sister, that is just another level. So I can't imagine how that's going to feel once you're out there.
Yeah, I think we always say that we wouldn't be in the sport if it wasn't for the Olympics. And the Olympics changed our lives in so many different ways. I'm sure we'll dive into that in a minute, but you know, we wanted to be Olympians from the very minute we decided to do it. And so we're 28 now, so it took a long time, but I think that makes it even sweeter because the journey has just been up and down, and it's such a huge reward for all of those things.
And you're both identical twins.
Yeah.
Not many people, even sisters or twins or whoever, can say that they are on this journey together. Like you do so much together. You've got a YouTube channel. I just feel like you train together. You guys must be so in sync. Was there ever a time when you thought, oh, one of us might be doing this and the other one might not be good enough?
Yeah, I think we had our moments, especially because my twin sister has had so many challenges in her career as well. And I think there were moments where we thought she might stop. And so I think I'm even happier for her making the Olympics, more so than I am for her making the Olympics, because it was just not an easy journey at all. And I think there were times when I thought she's never going to be an Olympian and that's all she's ever wanted. And so for her to be an Olympian is just, it's so special for all of us.
Do you feel like you're each other's biggest cheerleaders?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I say we wouldn't be in the sport if it wasn't for the other one, because we fell into running at the same time. We fell in love with the sport at the same time. We trained together, and then there were years when we weren't training together, and then we realised actually we work so much better together. And so we've worked so hard together this whole year. We've almost been side by side at training. And so, yeah, it's really nice to go to Olympics together. I think if one of us had missed out this time, gosh, that would have been awful. That would have been horrendous. So, yeah, so happy that we're going together.
I've watched some of your vlogs and you just have such a great connection. Like, you can see how much you enjoy being around each other. And like I say, you support each other so much. When one of you's training, the other one's going down there just to watch or do some content.
Yeah.
Like, you're always in each other's pockets. Does that ever get tiring? Like, do you ever have those sistery moments like I do with my sister when you have a little bit of a bicker, or it's not like that?
Very rarely. We do bicker. Yeah, we do. I think because you're just around, I mean, anyone, if you're around anyone for that amount of time, you do kind of get a bit tense around each other. But we actually joke that we've had an ongoing conversation for 28 years because we never run out of things to talk about. Like, our training partners are so stunned sometimes that we still have something to talk about, because we chat all the time at home, and then if we're not together, it's through text or FaceTime, and then when we're at training, we're still talking. So yeah, it's just having a best friend for life. It's such a special connection. I don't have any other siblings, so I can't really compare it to anything, but when you grow up with someone and they're there all the time, there's no one else that you know better.
I just find it so cool as well, especially with training, like during those tough sessions. It's basically just like having a permanent teammate, but your sister and like a best friend. I just think that's so cool, especially like during those grueling sessions.
Do you know what? I think it's an advantage, because I think it's almost having a better version of you, because we are so competitive in a really healthy way. So if one of us is really far ahead or the other one's kind of a bit far down, you're thinking, I should be up there with her. And she thinks the same as well. So that you can't ever be complacent when you're training with your twin sister, because she will find a way to beat you and vice versa. So I think it kind of comes at an advantage for us in our high competitive field.
That's so nice. Great that you have such an amazing connection and that you're on this journey. And out in Paris, who's going to be there? Getting the whole family out there, or what's the plan?
No, my mum actually, we're quite a small family, so it's just my sister, my mum and I growing up. She's not a big sports fan, never has been, even though she has 2 twin daughters going to the Olympics. But it's for her, it's just unfathomable that you can do this as a career and as a passion and a hobby and take it so far. But we'll have loads of friends and teammates, and our support staff will be out there. So it's going to be nice. I've got my twin sister, I don't need anyone else.
I know. Yeah. You guys are a force to be reckoned with. It's going to be a really, really exciting time for you both.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I went to Tokyo actually, and it was such a weird Olympics. And I listened to a podcast actually with Simone Biles, and she said, I feel sorry for whoever who went to Tokyo and that was their first and last Olympics, because it was just not a normal Olympics. So I think we're experiencing the Olympics probably for the first time actually. Really.
Yeah, because in that situation there was no crowd, right?
It was the weirdest thing, because the last championships I had done before that was 2019, and there were people in the stadium. It wasn't a full stadium, but there were people there. And then we had the year of lockdown, pandemic, COVID. And then you think you're just going to go back to normal life, but then you're at the Olympic Games and there's no one. And they wouldn't even allow athletes into the stadium, because I think they were keeping up this image of, we're not going to, I'm not going to bring COVID to Japan. And you're just racing against your competitors, and you can hear them breathing, you can hear their footsteps, and you're just like, this is the weirdest thing. It kind of felt like a practice run. So I'm ready for the real thing now. Yeah. So it was so bizarre, but I think Paris will do a great job of hosting the Olympics.
And even like sort of the athletes' village, because at other Olympics, I think that's a big part of sort of mingling with each other and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, obviously in Tokyo, I bet you couldn't really do much of that, or to the extent.
Yeah, well, there was a rule that you could only go into the village, I think, 5 days before your event started. So not just your sport, your event. And then you had to leave 48 hours afterwards. And we're the last sport at the Olympics. We're at the second week. So everyone had gone home. And it was like, is it still going on? Like, is it still happening? So it was strange, very strange. And I was actually in quarantine for most of it. I don't think a lot of people know that, but I was in quarantine for most of the Olympic Games.
Yeah, what an experience to have that as like, especially your sort of first Olympics. So
it was
I
weird.
can see how this is going to be so much different, even just with the fans and like the atmosphere. I feel like it'll be so electric.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's another first, isn't it, at the end of the day? Like, it's experiencing the Olympics how you should experience it, because it should be about the fans and the atmosphere, and you shouldn't be able to hear each other breathe in. Do you know what I mean? That must have been so odd, because so many times when you're competing, it's just not like that.
Yeah. I like what you said about it at first, because I think every Olympics has something special about it. And even though COVID probably wasn't the unique thing we wanted about the Olympics, but it was so unique. And I think even now telling those stories, I can't believe we existed in a world like that. It's so bizarre. So I think it's quite nice still to tell the story of, it was the COVID Games, And I think we actually did call it that. And so Paris, another first, will be really special.
What do you want to achieve this time around? What's the aim when you get to Paris?
So I'm actually competing in 3 events in Paris. So I've got the mixed relay at the start, which is only the second time it's been held at the Olympics. We finished, I think it was 5th last time, or 6th maybe. So we won a silver medal at the last World Championships. So we're hoping to take that success into the Olympics and finish on the podium. I think we've got such a strong crop of 400 metre runners in the country. So that'll be the first goal. And then in my individual 400, I want to obviously run the best that I've ever run. So hopefully a few PBs there will be amazing. And then in the women's relay, again, we finished 5th at the last Olympics and we got a bronze medal at the last World Championship. So we're slowly building. So we'd love to finish on the podium there as well. I'd love to walk away with 2 medals. That'd be great.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. We'll be watching, and we hope that you achieve all of these amazing things. Now, this journey started back in 2012, didn't it? Tell us how that happened. Like, what happened in 2012 that made you think, I've got to do this?
So, 2012 was I say it's my first Olympics. I wasn't competing there, but it was my first experience of the Olympic Games. So I grew up in East London, one town over from where the Olympics were being held in Stratford. So I grew up in Leytonstone. And I was involved in sport. I was involved in the sport of athletics. And my PE teacher at the time wanted us to kind of cling on to that Olympic legacy. So she put us forward to volunteer at the Olympic Games as kit carriers. So we would carry the kit of the athletes as they were getting ready for their events, and we would bring it to the finish line. So it was there when they were finished. And now, like, I actually have kit carriers of my own, and I always make sure to say thank you, because I know it's quite an arduous task because you have to walk around the whole stadium to do that. So I did that in the first 4 days of the Olympics in 2012. And it was the first time I'd ever witnessed live sport. You know, I'd never really watched athletics in person, but 100,000 people in the stadium was just mental. Like, I was 16. I sort of watched Stratford kind of rise from the ground up. I mean, Stratford pre-2012 was not a place that you wanted to go to. And so to see like a new city, a new postcode, it was just bizarre for me. And it really made me appreciate the impact of sport and what it can do, not just to personal lives, but to whole cities. And so when we walked away from the Olympic Games in 2012, I was involved in the sport, but I wasn't taking it very seriously. I was kind of just competing whenever I wanted to. I would go to training sessions whenever I wanted to. And I turned to my coach, I think the week after, I said, I want to do this properly. I want to see how far I can go. And the first thing he said to me was, you need to show up to training. So I was such a lazy 16-year-old. And I think 3 years after that, I made my first World Championship team and kind of skyrocketed from there.
I love that.
That's crazy, that, isn't it? Just how like one moment or one event can just spark something like that in you. Yeah. And London 2012 was incredible. I remember that Olympics. So just to see how a couple of years later you was in the position you was is mad. I
think we are literally examples of the legacy. And they said it from the beginning. I remember when we were bidding for it in 2005, I was 9 or 10. And they were getting children involved. They were getting children involved in the bidding process and changing schools into sports schools. They wanted children involved in sport. And so we really took that opportunity, and here we are going to the Olympics ourselves. It's crazy. And I think it wasn't just the 2 weeks of those Olympic Games, it was everything that came with it. We were so lucky that we were there around that time.
Wow, it's amazing how things become full circle, isn't it? Like, I remember actually being at school and having announced that London 2012 was happening, and all the kids were so excited, and it was absolutely amazing, everything you could have dreamt about. And then to be there and I don't know, just taking it all in, being inspired by it, and being now a product of it. And look at how far you've come in your journey. You know, did you actually expect at that moment that you could get to where you are now?
No, I don't think we could have possibly imagined that we would also be Olympians. I think you feel so far removed from what these athletes are doing. I remember just watching Jessica Ennis jump the high jump, and I thought, she's tiny. Like, how is she getting over that bar? And seeing how fast they go in person, it was just incredible. And I think I just wanted to see how far I could go. I don't think I ever thought I would be an Olympic champion or something, but it was inspiring just to see that these were human beings, and how far could I take it as well.
And not everyone has carried Jessica Ennis-Hill's bags.
No.
You have that claim to fame.
Yeah.
Did you have a conversation with her, or?
So when I made my first World Championship team in 2015, so that was 3 years after the Olympics, we were on the same team.
Amazing.
And someone had told her, someone on the team had mentioned it to her. She was like, there's someone here who carried your kit 3 years ago. And so she came up and spoke to me. She was like, I can't believe you carried my kit. And I showed her a picture, actually, because it was on the BBC and she was the golden girl. The camera was focused on her for a long time and I was right behind her. So that was my first claim to fame, the first 15 minutes of fame. And then ever since, you know, she's actually been very supportive throughout my whole career. She's messaged me before championships, and it's, I think 16-year-old me would be screaming if I saw a text message from Jessica Ennis. But she is so lovely, and I think she's passing it on. I think she just wants to see athletes do well.
That is literally like a full circle moment. Like even sort of those years later, speaking to her, I bet that just like hit home.
Yeah, it still does every now and again. I don't take it for granted. Like every time I see her name pop up on my phone, it is strange, but I don't take it for granted. It's
and just special. Nice that she made the effort to come and speak to you. Like so many people are not like that.
Yeah.
So the fact that she found you in the crowd and came and made the effort, I think that's really sweet.
Have you heard that saying that goes like, "Don't meet your idols" or something? I was like, that's not true for me. She was so lovely. She was just she was so much nicer than I thought she would be. She's such a genuine soul. Like one of the best people in the sport.
Love that.
Your sister was also volunteering as well, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So did you just kind of put your heads together and go, right, let's try this? And see where it takes us.
I actually remember turning to her. And saying, we need to take this properly, take this on seriously, because we were, like I said, we were involved in the sport, but we were just not that dedicated to it. And I think when you see athletes at the Olympics, you can see that they've worked hard. You can see that they put the effort in. And so I just said, we need to do this. So I do remember having that conversation. And
400 metres, that wasn't actually always your event, was it?
No.
So what made you change? Because it was 800 metres.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So we kind of came from a long distance background. So we did cross country at school, which a lot of people do. A lot of people come from that path. And then we worked our way down. So we did the 1500 and then the 800, and we stuck to the 800 for years. I don't know why. I just thought, maybe I thought that was the event that we were good at. And we were just getting slower and slower and slower. And I think when you don't see the results, you can be so demotivated. And I think that's one of the reasons we just didn't take it seriously, because you just think, I'm not that good. Like, why would I put so much effort into this? And it was the year after 2012, so 2013 now, we were still doing the 800 and I was still getting slower. And I'd actually put a whole year of training into this. And I was slower than I was at the age of 14. So I thought, I'm not good at this at all. And my coach, well, he wasn't my coach at the time, but he ended up being my coach for 4 years after that. He turned to me and he's like, why don't you try the 400 today? And I was like, I don't know how to set up a pair of starting blocks. It was a sprint, so I'd never set up a set of starting blocks. And he was like, just go to the start line and just start however you want to start it. And I ended up finishing, I think, second or third in that race when I'd finished dead last in 800. And it was so much fun. I remember it was just like a thrill, and it was challenging, but in a very rewarding way. And the time that I ran, I didn't think it at the time, but he was like, that's a really, really good time. I think you should start training for the 400. And then I asked him to coach me, and he coached me for 4 years. And so he was the one who coached me to my first World Championship team. I think 2 of my first senior medals, my first World Championship medal. So it was a good choice.
Thank goodness he said that. Yeah. Because your life could be a bit different if you hadn't.
I would have stopped probably again, because I just thought I wasn't very good at it. And so we found our calling with the 400. And then my sister a few years later found the 4 hurdles. Yeah. It's her calling.
I mean, like a 400, what is it that you love best about it? Because it always confuses me. It's like, is it a sprint, but then it's not a sprint? Because it's like, it just seems so grueling.
It can be. And do you know what? It doesn't get any better. You just get better at handling it. It's I describe it as a relaxed sprint. So I don't know if they belong in the same sentence.
Doesn't look very relaxed when you watch it.
No, especially the last few meters.
Yeah.
But it's tactical in the way that you can't run it flat out. You have to control your speed and kind of lock into your rhythm. And I think I like that challenge. And it's also the training's so varied throughout the year, because it's a combination of speed and strength and stamina. Our training's so varied throughout the year. So at the beginning, we do a lot of endurance work. And then towards the summer games, like now, we would do a lot of sprint work. And I think I like having something different throughout the year, because it keeps you on your toes a bit. And I kind of like that. I call it a good pain, but the lactic acid that you feel at the end of the 400, if you can navigate that, it's a really rewarding feeling.
And you're the 400 metre British champion. You recently became the indoor champion with your sister in second.
Yes.
I mean, how does that feel? That's probably something you didn't ever think was going to happen either.
That was the weirdest feeling. We had raced each other over the 400 before in our careers, but that was the first time I think we were qualifying for something together. So we were trying to qualify for the World Indoor Championships earlier this year. And we actually had a strategy. So I knew that I was so the indoor 400 is so different to the outdoor 400 in the sense that you run the first lap in lanes and then you all cut into one lane. So I said to her, I'm going to cut in first and you're going to cut in second. And I remember talking about it with our coach and he was like, what happens if someone else comes in between you? And we went, no one's going to come in between us. No one's going to come in between us. And so we had a strategy. And as soon as I heard her kind of slot into the back of me, I knew we were going to finish first and second. And so I was like, once I get in front, you just follow me. Just watch my back and just make sure you're following me the whole way.
Make sure you stay behind.
Make sure you stay behind. And we finished first and second. I think we were the first twins in British history to ever do that. Yeah. And her time actually in second place would have won so many other championships. I was like, sorry, I got in the way. But yeah, it was good.
Is it hard? Like, you're so close, but also she's like, in that situation, she's your main competition.
Yeah, do you know, I was most worried about her. Like, in terms of my competitors at that time, I thought, Lena, sometimes she can pull out surprises. She's nervous and she's really focused. She can surprise us. And so I thought, if I get this wrong, she's gonna take this on and she's gonna win it. She's not gonna care about me at all, which is good. Like, that's what she should do. And so, it was. I was worried about her, but I also really wanted her to do well as well because I think that was her first sort of step into the Olympic qualification process, and we both knew that we wanted to go to Paris.
And I guess if you're going to lose against anyone, rather lose against your sister.
Yeah.
So I guess it softens the blow, or hopefully it did for her anyway. What's it like with the rivalry between you two? Because obviously siblings, there's that natural rivalry, but you're on the world stage and you've got that as well to contend with.
I don't ever see it as a rivalry. I think we're really lucky to have one another in the sport as well, because it is an individual sport at the end of the day, and there are so many moments where you just think you're on your own, and on the start line sometimes as well, it's you on your own, it's you versus 7 other people. But when we go away to championships or to training camps, holding camps, to have someone else there who's so well, so familiar, it can be like bringing home with you, and I think that provides a sense of comfort which not a lot of people can say that they have. So I would rather have her in the sport than not have her in the sport. I think we're so lucky.